The Phantom Chains of Black Hollow. I hit record before I even kill the engine. Ethan Caldwell here, I say to the dash cam, voice still gravel from the 9 hours I've been chewing highway. Black Hollow, Mojave, last light. If this video posts, I want you to see exactly how it looked the first time. The windshield is a rectangle of heat shimmer and jagged stone. The sun is a molten coin caught between teeth of rock, bleeding red over the basin. Any other day I'd be satisfied thumbnail bait for a week, but Black Hollow's reputation has a way of turning sunsets into backgrounds. Abandoned mines, busted homesteads, CB rumors that go stale because nobody wants to repeat them out loud. I don't buy most of it. I don't have to. On camera, belief looks a lot like curiosity with good lighting. I step into air that tastes like a skillet and pennies. The wind's down to a whisker. All around, low creosote scraps of saltbush, the ribby silhouettes of Joshua trees like a congregation frozen mid-prayer. My boots crack a crust of powder and the sound is loud in the quiet. Golden hour's 2 minutes, I tell the handheld. Let's earn it. I hump the pack to a low knuckle of rock and pop the legs on the tripod. Camera FX3, lens 2470. I bracket exposures out of habit, sun on the edge, the basalt teeth, a sliver of wash curling through the basin. The sensor drinks the red and gives me something almost faithful. Almost, you never capture heat with pixels. You suggest it and hope the viewer supplies the rest. The plan is simple, camp pre-dawn drone shot of the basin, maybe catch thermals lifting dust like prayer smoke. If the mines look safe, they won't. Peek a few feet in for B-roll. I'm not that kind of stupid. I'm the other kind, the kind that thinks you can flirt with the desert and not get bitten. I pan right and see it. At first it's just a Joshua tree, one of 100, but something about the posture is wrong. They usually tilt like dancers mid-pose. This one looks hunched, like it's holding a weight it can't set down. I rack focus. The bark is gnarled and furrowed like knuckles. And then the light catches metal, and the hair on my forearms prickles. Chains, not one, not two, a tangle. Rusted lengths looped tight around the trunk. Some links cinched so deep the bark has swollen around them, swallowing iron. Loose ends dangle heavy, a few looped into crude nooses that sway though there's no wind. The chains look old enough to predate me, and yet not old enough to be archaeological. A fresh rub of orange rust stains the trunk where a padlock once was and is not. Somebody lost the plot, I mutter into the mic, but my throat's dry. I ease closer, half filming, half scanning for the prank camera that wants my reaction. There's no prank camera. There's nothing but the tree and the basin and the sound of my breath in my ears. I put gloved fingers to a loose length and give it the gentlest tug. The whole bouquet sighs and settles an inch, heavy enough to be too heavy. Up close I see the links have been scratched. Not random gouges, lines crossing lines, curves intersecting like a language I never learned. I angle the flashlight to rake light along the metal, and every shallow cut glows a damp copper. No trick, just a sheen catching the low sun. But in the shade between chains, deeper in the bark, there are marks that look intentional, deeper than my knife could bite in one pass. They're crisp where the bark has grown around them, sealing them like stitches. Okay, I say to the camera, keeping my voice even because that's the brand. Chain-wrapped Joshua, Mojave folk art, symbols unknown. We'll catalog, then eat. I frame a tight shot of one symbol. It's 3 nested crescents intersected by a vertical slash. Another is a lopsided star with the bottom point doubled. A third is a line of hatch marks that someone started and never finished, or maybe finishing looks like that. I clock their positions on the trunk out of a habit that feels like respect. The sun drops its last inch and the red drains from the world. In the sudden cool of shade, the metal's not copper anymore. It's almost dusky. I back up, get a wide, the chains draped like jewelry around a saint nobody prays to. My camp is 100 yards west, behind a rise, out of the direct sightline of the tree. That isn't strategy, it's where the ground's flattest. But when I zip the tent and hear the vulnerable thud of nylon meeting nothing, I'm absurdly grateful. I boil water. The jet bull hisses like an insect queen. I eat something shaped like pasta but tasting like a grandma's regret. Then write rap intro by fire in the notes app and line up the talking points in my head. Night comes as a switch. Basin is a bowl of ink pricked by stars, the Milky Way flung from rim to rim like salt. Heat leaves the rocks in a sigh. I shoot the sky for a while, the camera dutifully capturing a billion brilliant things that were here before me and will be here after. On playback, the stars smear wishfully across the tiny screen. The chains don't appear in any of these frames, but it's not like I'm aiming at them. The first sound comes after I've crawled into the bag and floated a few inches above sleep. Clank, not loud, not cinematic, just metal meeting metal, spaced, deliberate, like two links testing each other's weight. I freeze with my eyes open and count heartbeats. The night answers with the usual, the whisper of a breeze, a moth's suicidal flirt with my headlamp, a far coyote giving the world a piece of its mind. Clank, clank, 3 seconds apart, maybe 4, a rhythm developing. I swallow, my tongue has turned into a dry sponge. I tell myself it's thermal contraction. Metal breathes at night, it's a thing. I've hung pots over fires enough times to know the song, but I've never heard that song come in meter, like footsteps disguised as physics. The tent zipper seems loud enough to wake rock. I risk it anyway and peek out. The world is high contrast, black and silver. My breath huffs white. I click the flashlight and immediately wish I hadn't. The beam is a spear in a cathedral. I kill it. Let the moon do the seeing. The tree is a smudge over the rise. I can't see the chains, I can hear them. Clank, clank, clank. I could wait. I could put earbuds in and pretend sleep is a choice. But if there's one rule to my life, it's this. The only way out of a story is through the middle of it. Otherwise it tells itself without you, and then you're just background. I slip out of the bag, layer up, pull the drone case from the pack. It's mostly habit. The drone is steadier than my legs when adrenaline makes the world vibrate. I clip the phone into the controller, power on, wait for the home tone that always sounds like a bird asking if I'm sure. The motors whine to life, a polite sawdust hum. It lifts and becomes a dark card shuffling itself into the deck of night. The phone lights my face ghostly. I keep the drone at 20 feet and nose it over the rise toward the smear of tree. The screen becomes bark and chain, silvered by the moon. No wind. The loose ends should hang still. They don't. They move as if a weight is taking inventory one link at a time. A lift, a settle, a lift, a settle. The drone's mic picks up a suggestion of the clank, thinner than air. Thermal, I say out loud, brave for the camera that isn't rolling. Metal breathing, cooling. The tree disagrees. Or maybe the night does. A loop near the base lifts and turns in a way that isn't passive. It's the motion you make when you're looking for the end of a rope in the dark. The lens tries to focus and fails. I tap to force it. The chain stutters into sharpness. In the far edge of frame, beyond the trunk, something is blacker than the dark. A cut of shadow in the shape your mind makes when you think of a person before you name them. I blink hard. The drone drifts. The something is gone because maybe it was never there. The chain moves anyway. I ease the drone higher, out of the swing radius and circle. The tree is a radial diagram of wrong angles. At the top, near where the bracts form witchy hands, there's a symbol carved not into metal, but into the bark itself. I didn't see it before. The light was wrong then. The moon is a gentler informant. The symbol is what? A line of tiny squares, 4 by 4, then a diagonal through them, like a checkered window with a crack. The bark around it is pale where sap dried a long time ago. I feel something in my throat that is not a swallow. Who did you, I say, and the sentence has the wrong grammar, as if the tree can answer. The controller buzzes a haptic warning. Low light, low obstacle visibility, low sense of self-preservation. I ignore it and hold just above the canopy. The clanking slows. The links relax like a sigh shared by a tired room. Back at camp, the Jetbull's orange puck is a tiny hearth. It makes everything feel more human. I land the drone soft, fingers stiff in the sudden cold. The motors spin down. The world returns to coyotes and the tick of cooling aluminum. I don't play the footage. Not yet. I tell myself I want to log the experience while it's raw. Truth. I want to put words between me and whatever the lens saw. I prop the camera on a rock, hit record, and talk. Midnight check-in, I say. My voice carries wrong over open space. It sounds like a man reporting from a room that doesn't have corners. There's a Joshua tree with chains, lots of them. They're carved. I don't know the language. There's no sign anyone's been here for a while. Heard clanking, could be thermal. Launch the drone to confirm. I hesitate, and that's not like me. The brand is calm, curious, crisp. Tonight is careful. Got movement, I say finally. Could be an animal brushing the chains. Raccoon, fox, I'll review in the morning. I kill the camera and immediately change my mind. The urge to see is greater than the urge to sleep. I plug the drone into the phone, scrub to the moment the loop turns in a way metal does not when left alone. On the small screen, it's grainier, more forgiving. In forgiveness, things hide. At the edge of the frame, the black cutout returns for a single frame. Maybe 2, taller than a man, thinner than a tree trunk. No light on it, no light from it. If you paused there and pointed and asked me what it is, I'd call it absence. The chain nearest it lifts like a snake raising its head to taste a scent. The tense nylon rustles at my back as a breeze finds it and moves on. I tell myself it's the breeze I heard earlier, that it made the chains speak, that it made shadow a shape. The water bottle on the rock sweats cold. I take a long drink to calibrate. The desert has its tricks. Dehydration is a lens too, and it warps. I tuck the drone away, lay the controller soft, and zip the tent like a man not running from anything. The bags size around me. The stars lean in, crowded and curious through the mesh. I'm almost asleep when I hear the third sound. Not metal, not wind, not animal. A scrape, granular and unambiguous, as if something heavy has been dragged 3 inches across hardpan. Then stillness so complete the word stillness seems like noise. I hold my breath until my lungs ache and let it out in a slow, unmanly hiss. The urge to unzip is a physical thing, itch under the sternum, ants in the fingers. I don't. I do what I rarely do. I wait. 3 minutes, 5, nothing. The desert becomes just desert again, the endless, indifferent kind I trust. Sleep reaches up and pulls me under by the ankles. In the long, soft fall, I make a promise that feels like a ritual. Morning, coffee, then the footage in that order. Because order is what you bring to a place that doesn't need it. Before I drop all the way, I think of the symbol in the bark, the checkered window with the crack, and the thought arrives whole and uninvited. It's not a window, it's a grate, and something behind it leaned close to see me better. Morning comes like a mercy I didn't earn. The desert bleeds from silver to rust, and I lie there, listening to the tent fabric crackle as it warms. The first sound of the day is familiar, the tiny sigh of expanding metal. The same sound that 12 hours ago didn't feel like physics. Coffee makes the world simpler. Jet bull pour stir. When the caffeine hits, I finally open the drone footage on the laptop instead of the phone. The screen is bigger, and so are the lies I tell myself about what I'll see. Playback, the tree, the chains, the faint motion. Still plausible, still physics. I zoom in on the single frame where the black shape flickered in and out. The pixel grid fractures, trying to define edges that don't belong. I scrub forward. At the frame after, the sand near the trunk looks different, disturbed, like an animal's been digging or something has been breathing under the crust. There's a phrase people use in editing rooms: the brain hates blanks. Give it noise, it invents shape. Give it shape, it invents story. I've built a career off that principle, but staring at the frozen frame, my brain doesn't invent, it recognizes. The pattern in the sand echoes one of the symbols carved into the bark. 4 squares and a diagonal slash, stretched out like someone drew it with a dragging chain. I shut the laptop harder than necessary and tell the camera I'm fine. The daylight hours blur. I shoot B-roll to keep busy, panoramic sweeps, macro shots of quartz veins, slow-mo dust motes. Anything that makes Black Hollow behave like geography instead of myth. Around noon, I hike back toward the Joshua Tree. The heat is a solid thing now, pressing from every direction. The chains have gone dull. That peculiar chalky color rust takes under desert sun. The symbols look shallower than last night, as if the bark has healed overnight. I run a fingertip along one of the carvings. The metal's warm, too warm for shade, not hot enough for open light. It's the temperature of something that remembers being touched. I film everything, that's the rule. Documentation keeps fear from turning into folklore. Through the lens, it almost works. The autofocus twitches, unsure where to rest. Once it locks on air 2 feet from the trunk, as if something there has more definition than the tree itself. I step back. The wind picks up, scattering sand. That's when I see it. The sand around the base of the tree isn't smooth anymore. It's furrowed, radiating outward in half circles, the way chain links would trace if someone or something had been dragging them in slow arcs during the night. Maybe coyotes, I say into the mic. Maybe erosion. Maybe lies. Afternoon collapses into gold again. I set the tripod for a time-lapse, focused dead center on the tree. If there's motion tonight, I'll catch it without lifting a finger. I also set the drone on a programmed path, a slow orbital loop every 2 hours. Automation doesn't get scared. By dusk, the wind dies. The desert holds its breath. Night 2, I tell the camera. Control variables, same camp, same distance, new angle. Objective, rule out optical effects, wind patterns, or small animal interference. Saying objective helps. It makes the world sound like a lab instead of a mouth. The first drone loop hums off at 9 p.m., a firefly the size of a dinner plate. I watch its telemetry on the controller screen. Everything's perfect, altitude 20 FT, battery 96%, path locked. I let it go and try to eat. Around 10 p.m., a gust rattles the tent. Sand stings the fabric. The controller pings feed lost. I curse, unzip, step into the night. The wind dies instantly as if it only existed inside the tent. The stars are sharp enough to cut on. No motion, no sound. I reconnect the feed. The image flickers back, grayscale in moonlight. The tree fills the frame. The chains move. Not swaying, tightening. One by one, the loops constrict, drawing inward until the bark bulges. The creak is thin and slow, like tendons stretching. My heart hammers so loud the microphone peaks. I whisper into the controller, "Is this seismic wind shear?" The app doesn't care. It just draws red text, "Obstacle detected above." Above, I tilt the camera up. Nothing but stars. I bring it down again, just in time to see a light. Faint, amber, leaking between the chain links near the base. It pulses once, twice, like a heartbeat under skin. The feed warps. Static lines cut across the frame. Then black, battery still 70%. Signal strong, video dead. I pull the drone home manually, watching for the blinking beacon. It lands without sound. The lens is cold, damp, with a residue that smells faintly metallic, like wet pennies. The time-lapse camera clicks quietly by the fire, still loyal. I let it run. Sleep comes in shifts. Every rustle sounds intentional. Once I dream that the chains are inside the tent, coiled under the sleeping bag, waiting for me to move so they can remember how to tighten. When real dawn arrives, I don't need the alarm. The time-lapse battery died an hour ago. I scroll through the shots. The sky brightens frame by frame, purple, orange, white, and then right before full daylight, there's a single frame where the tree isn't alone. A figure stands behind it. Blurred, yes, but proportionate, upright human. Its head tilts slightly, like it's listening for the shutter. Next frame, gone. I scrub back and forth. The figure's outline seems made of distortion, as if the camera caught heat instead of flesh. Still, something about the posture, the forward lean, the left arm lifted, looks familiar. It looks like me adjusting a tripod. I pack before the sun clears the ridge. My pulse hasn't slowed since dawn. Rationalization can't keep up. I tell myself I'll relocate to a safer distance, maybe the highway turn out 5 miles north. But when I reach the truck, I stop. The passenger side mirror hangs loose, fractured like it's been struck. In the reflection, the desert lies undisturbed, except for a single track of chain-shaped impressions leading from my camp toward the road. Not boot prints, not tire marks. Chain links, pressed deep as if something heavy crawled on its belly of iron. I record a few seconds, zooming for evidence. Footage trembles because I do. Noon. I reach the edge of Black Hollow proper, where the asphalt begins again. Civilization tastes artificial and good. I tell myself the story, over. But there's one more rule I've learned on the road. If you don't check the data, it checks you. I open the laptop in the cab, connect the drone's SD card. There's a new folder I didn't create, timestamp 2:13 AM inside, one file. No extension. Just a string of symbols, 4 squares, diagonal slash. Exactly like the mark on the bark. When I force open it as video, it plays noise at first, grey static that stutters and crawls. Then the image clears enough to show my camp from 50 feet up. The tent, the truck, my sleeping form. The timestamp rolls forward, a full minute of stillness. Then the tent zipper moves, slow and deliberate. Something dark slides halfway out, thin, jointed, glinting faintly in the moonlight. It withdraws again. The zipper closes itself. The final frame freezes on the tent, and at the bottom of the screen, text scrawls in rust-colored letters. Who films the sleeper? Then the feed cuts to black. I don't remember driving for the next hour, just the feeling of wheels biting gravel, engine too loud. I stop at a rest area with cell service and upload a short vlog update. The camera doesn't show the shakes. Trip done, I say. Too dangerous. Wind patterns unpredictable. Technical failure on the drone. That's the public version. The private file I keep for myself is unlisted, time-stamped, encrypted. It ends with a note I type in all caps, so I'll listen later. Do not return, do not review footage again. Delete everything by sunset. But sunset comes and I don't delete. I scrub through the raw audio one more time, headphones tight, volume high. At 02:14:12, the moment the zipper closes, I catch a whisper under the static. A metallic rasp shaped like words trying to remember how to be human. Stay, it's not just the chain that said it. It's the air. I shut the laptop, but the sound keeps looping behind my ribs long after. Somewhere outside the motel, a truck passes. The jangle of its loose tow chain drifts through the window, faint and rhythmic. Clank, clank, clank. And the part of me that films everything, the part that confuses evidence with safety, reaches for the camera again. Because maybe if I record the sound, it will stay inside the memory card instead of me. That's the lie I tell at 3 AM, while the desert wind outside the glass smells faintly of iron. The thing about promises is that they rot fast in the dark. I lasted 8 days, 8 nights of motel ceilings and chain sounds in dreams, of replaying the whisper, stay, until the word lost meaning. Then the algorithm did what it always does. It remembered what I'd filmed before I told it to forget. A notification pinged while I was half asleep. Viewers are asking if you're going back. That's how it starts again. Curiosity dressed as audience engagement. By noon I'm back on Highway 95 heading south. The sun looks meaner than I remember. The desert feels wider, like it grew while I was gone. My GoPro's on the dash, filming the drive. I tell the camera this is a follow-up investigation because confession doesn't trend. In the footage later, I'll look calm. In real life, my hands are shaking on the wheel hard enough to blur the horizon. The turnoff to Black Hollow hasn't changed, except someone or something has put a road cone in the middle of the dirt track. Brand new plastic, neon orange, no tire tracks around it. The kind of thing meant to say turn back without wasting words. I drive around it anyway. Half a mile in, my phone loses signal. The desert takes it back like an apology. I reach the campsite just before dusk. The tent poles still lie where I left them, snapped and sun-bleached. The Joshua tree waits at the ridge, same posture, same hunched silhouette. But the chains look different. Hover. There are more of them. I count 7 loops last time, now there are 9. 2 fresh links gleam clean silver among the rust, as if forged yesterday. I don't touch them, not yet. Instead, I unpack the camera and start talking. Ethan Caldwell, Day 9. Objective: determine who or what added material to the site since my departure. Evidence of human interference possible. No footprints yet. Sand smooth. Saying it makes it true for a few seconds. The air feels thicker here, though the wind's steady. Each breath drags grit across my teeth. The light drops into that syrupy amber that makes everything too beautiful to be safe. At Utton, Butty Southern, the first anomaly hits. The drone, mid-hover, stutters, then tilts upward on its own. Not touching the stick, the feed lurches, showing the desert floor from a steeper and steeper angle until it's staring straight into the red sky. Then it freezes. When the frame unfreezes, I'm in it. The camera shows me standing beside the tree, hand lifted toward the chains, except I'm holding nothing. I look frozen mid-reach, as if the drone caught me between frames of thought. Then the figure flickers, pixelates, and the feed cuts again. I'm still at the truck when it happens, controller in hand. I run, the sound greets me halfway up the ridge. Clank, clank, the rhythm's slower tonight, deliberate, like it knows I'm listening. When I crest the hill, I stop dead. Every chain is taut now, stretched outward from the trunk like spokes. The ends don't hang, they point. And every one of them points directly at me. The camera shakes in my hands. Okay, I whisper, not wind, not animals. Something shifts behind the tree. The sand bulges, a long swell like something turning over beneath the surface. One chain twitches, then another. The symbols carved into the links ignite, not flame, not glow, but an impossible depth, as if light is being sucked into them. The voice comes then, low, metallic, not words at first, just pressure in the chest, the sound you feel instead of hear. Then language crawls out of it, slow as a bad translation. Stay, I backpud, lens trembling. Who are you? I blurt. What do you want? The reply drags metal on stone. To be remembered. I've documented earthquakes, avalanches, a lightning storm that fried half my gear. Nothing ever felt alive like this sound. It doesn't echo, it breathes. Each syllable comes from a different direction, like the desert itself is speaking through a throat made of rust. A gust kicks up, whipping grit across my face. The tree jerks. One of the new silver chains uncoils, slapping the sand between us. The mark it leaves is perfect. The 4-square sigil, diagonal slash, my old nightmare. I raise the camera, pure reflex. That's when I see the figures, not one many, half-formed silhouettes standing beyond the rise, arranged in a wide arc around the tree. They shimmer like heat mirage reflections, human height, human stillness. Each one wears faint traces of the same symbols on their chests, glowing dull red. The nearest turns its head toward me, and the movement fractures the air like glass bending. The voice again, multi-blood, braided through the chains. We are bound to the witness. We are the frame that keeps the image. UFILMEDUS, now film with US. The chains rattle in rhythm, a clattering heartbeat. I stumble backward toward the truck, still filming because that's what I do when I don't know what else to do. The ground under my boots vibrates, a hum like power lines over wet pavement. The camera lens pulses, focus, blur, focus, each beat syncing with my pulse. Then silence, total, the figures are gone. The chains hang limp. The air smells like rain even though the sky's bone dry. I should leave, I do leave, at least I think I do. But when I climb into the truck, the dash lights refuse to turn on. The engine clicks, dead. The rearview mirror shows only black. I reach for my phone, the screen glows, but it's displaying the drone feed again live. Except the drone sits in its case beside me. On the phone screen, a version of me stands in the dark next to the tree, camera raised, whispering into the mic. The timestamp reads Utun 47, the exact minute the feed froze earlier. I watch myself move closer to the tree, hand outstretched. The screen shakes violently, then freezes on a single frame, my palm pressed against the bark, the chains crawling up my wrist like vines. The video ends with a blink. Outside the windshield, the desert is empty. Inside the cab, I'm still breathing, but my right wrist burns. When I roll up the sleeve, there's a faint pattern where skin meets metal, 4 tiny squares and a diagonal slash, embossed like a brand cooling down. I don't remember starting the engine. I only know it's running when headlights carve the road ahead. Behind me, the hollow burns a culk the camera will never catch, something between rust and blood and memory. I drive until the highway swallows me whole, 2 weeks later. I'm back in Los Angeles. Apartment windows barred, blinds shut. Every night I hear the same thing outside, faint metal clicking against the stair rail, then silence when I look. I tried to delete the footage. It won't stay gone. Every time I wipe the drive, the file reappears under new name, Black Hollow Stay, Muv Stay 2, Muv Stay Final, Parfum, always capitalized, always Thuttana M timestamp. Sometimes it opens by itself. The image never changes me, standing by the tree, palm on bark, eyes closed. The audio loops a whisper under the static. The frame remembers, the chain never forgets. I stopped uploading a week ago. The channel's subscribers keep asking what's next. They don't know they already have it. The live stream went up on its own last night, 12 minutes of black screen and the faint clinking of metal. 52,000 views by morning. Comments disabled automatically. I didn't post it. I'm talking to the camera again now one last time. My face looks foreign in the lens, sunburned, eyes too bright. The mark on my wrist has deepened. The skin feels thicker, grainy, almost bark-like. When I flex my hand, I swear I hear the smallest click, link against link. Final log, I say. If anyone finds this SD card, don't go to the coordinates tagged in the metadata. Don't try to prove it's fake. It feeds on that. Outside, the wind rises. Something taps the windowpin twice, metal on glass. I don't look. I thought I could film it, I whisper. Turns out it was filming me. I shut off the camera, or try to. The red record light stays on. The lens turns itself slowly, smoothly, until it's aimed not at my face, but the window behind me. Through the reflection, I catch movement. A glint of chain looping upward, weightless, searching. The feed cuts to static. Then text fades in, color of old rust. Stay, frame is forever. Story 2, the ghost lights of Widow's Peak. They tell you the road gets quieter after midnight. They don't tell you what kind of quiet it becomes. I've been driving rigs for 22 years, long enough to know the hum of tires over asphalt better than my own heartbeat. Tonight it's just me, 40,000 pounds of freight, and the whisper of wind threading through the cracks of the cab. The logbook says Portland to Reno, but the map doesn't mention Widow's Peak, the stretch of mountain pass that drivers either reroute around or don't talk about after. I used to laugh at that, used to. It's late October 2024, the Cascades already frosting at the edges, fogs rolling in from the pines, thick as wool. I've got the CB tuned to 19, half hopping for chatter, half afraid of it. The channel's dead, even the static sounds cautious. I take a sip of truck stop coffee that tastes like burned regret and glance at the dash cam's red light. It blinks steady, been recording for 3 hours straight, just habit now. My daughter Claire always says she likes to watch my road diaries, says the rhythm helps her sleep. I don't tell her the same footage helps me stay awake. At mile marker 82, the fog swallows the world whole. Headlights vanish into cotton. Everything ahead becomes suggestion. I downshift, ease the rig to 30, and mutter, "All right, easy girl, just clouds." The steering wheel vibrates under my palms like it disagrees. The road narrows to 2 lanes between guardrails older than I am. Somewhere out there's a drop steep enough to make prayer sound practical. I catch a flicker of light ahead and exhale, maybe another truck, maybe salvation. Then the light winks out. Another flashes to the right. Blue, then left, blue again. Then both 3 points forming a perfect triangle around me. Son of a, I grab the CB. Breaker 19, anyone rolling through Widow's Peak right now? You see in some damn lights, static answers, not white noise breathing. Slow, wet, mechanical. I flip the CB off. The lights stay. No engines, no footsteps, just those blue orbs pulsing in and out of the fog. They don't cast beams, just a faint glow like underwater lightning. My rig's headlights fade against them, swallowed before reaching the shoulder. Probably drones, I tell myself, kids messing around. But the hair on my arms has already made other plans. I ease to a stop. The fog curls around the trailer, hiding its tail like an animal protecting itself. I kill the engine. The silence that follows feels too big for one man. The lights drift closer. At 15 feet, the cab glows faintly blue. I can see my own breath, a ghost exhaling another ghost. The driver's side window fogs from the outside. Something taps the glass. 1, 2 slow knuckles, the rhythm almost kind. My hand goes for the ignition, but the key's already turning on its own. The dash lights flare, every warning indicator screaming red for half a heartbeat before dying again. The fog thickens to milk, then a whisper right in the cab seat level. You shouldn't have stopped. I spin, elbow hits the radio, coffee spills, no one's there. The sleeper bunk behind me is empty except for the duffel and the smell of ozone. I thumb the hazard lights on. The blue orbs flicker in response, pulsing brighter as if they're breathing with the truck. I slam the shifter into first and floor it. Tires spin, find grip, howl. The rig lurches forward. The lights move too, keeping pace, one on each flank, one behind. My mirrors are useless, only fog and faint blue circles drifting like eyes. Come on, Mason, I mutter. Just drive, don't think. The grade climbs, the fog pulses thicker. The air horn, the only weapon I've got, so I lay on it. The blast shreds the silence, echoes through the pass like a dying god. The lights vanish, just gone. I keep driving another 2 miles before I breathe. The road straightens, the fog thins to mist. Stars reappear overhead like spectators returning after an intermission. Then the CB crackles back to life. Ason Reed, you there, Mason Reed. The voice is female, metallic, layered. It says my name twice, then dissolves into whispers overlapping, out of sync but in tune. Dozens of voices, all saying the same word in different speeds. Follow. I wrench the dial off again and shout at the empty seat, not tonight. No answer, but the radio light stays glowing blue. By the time I reach the diner at Dead Man's Bend, my hands have stopped shaking. The place is open 24 hours, fluorescent hum audible from the parking lot. Inside, a waitress with tired eyes and a sheriff's patch jacket brings coffee before I even order. You look like you saw the fog, she says. I try to laugh it off. It saw me first. That earns a small smile. Widow's Peak'll do that. You hear the voices? I freeze mid-sip. You believe in that crap? She shrugs. Don't need to. Every month someone parks here pale as salt, says they heard something in the mist. Always different words. Always ends the same way. How that? They don't drive that pass again. A man at the counter, old, beard like wire, leans over. Lights still blue? He asks. I nod. He grunts. Then it's them, the watchers. The what? Truckers from the crash of 03, 30-car pileup in the fog. Nobody walked out. They say the driver's headlights never went off, just drifted through the pass night after night. Now they come looking for company. The waitress cuts him a look. Stop scaring the man. He shakes his head. He's already scared. Ain't that right, son? I pay cash and leave the coffee half drunk. Outside, the fog hasn't followed me here. Yet, back in the cab, the dash cam light blinks green, meaning recording. But I shut it off hours ago. When I check the playback, the timeline shows a gap. Exactly 12 minutes of blank footage from the time I hit the air horn until the lights vanished. Then a single frame, time-stamped 02:37 AM. In that frame, the windshield is filled with fog, and in the reflection of the driver's glass there's a face pressed against it, mine, but wrong. The eyes are blue fire, the mouth open too wide, whispering something the microphone didn't catch. At the bottom corner of the frame, a road sign glows faintly through the mist. Widow's Peak, next exit. I tell myself it's a glitch, that the camera buffered an old clip, that fatigue makes patterns out of noise. But as I shut the laptop, the CB turns on by itself, speaker whispering through static like wind across metal. You shouldn't have stopped. The blue indicator light on the radio pulses once. Twice. Then fades. You'd think after 20 years behind the wheel, I'd have learned how to leave a road behind. 2 days. That's how long I lasted before turning back. I told dispatch I was just checking the route for a weather update. Told myself I wanted proof, footage that made sense, something to file under optical anomaly. Truth is, I just wanted the lights to mean something. Anything but what they felt like. October 30, 2024. Dusk again. Same stretch of 97 climbing toward Widow's Peak. The fog's thinner tonight, stringy like smoke that hasn't made up its mind. My dash cam's running, cabin lights off. Claire's bracelet, blue beads she made in 4th grade, hangs from the mirror and knocks the glass every time I hit a bump. Clack, tiny heartbeat of normal. I keep the CB off this time. The miles tick by, 80, 81, 82. Right on schedule, the fog thickens, a white curtain drawn between one breath and the next. My headlights dissolve. The GPS loses signal. The bracelet swings once, stops dead. Then, like before, light, single, blue, dead ahead. I whisper to the recorder. Visual confirmed, same hue, appears stationary, distance maybe 50 feet. The light doesn't move, but the fog around it breathes. It pulses in and out, every beat matching my pulse until I can't tell which rhythm belongs to which heart. Then a second light blooms to the left, then a third to the right. I angle again. All right, I say out loud, we're doing this. I downshift, roll the rig forward slow 15 miles an hour until the lights fill the windshield. They hover just above the ground, not quite touching, not quite floating. Between them, shapes start to form, silhouettes of trucks, outlines made of thinner fog, trailers without wheels, cabins without glass. Each is pointed at me. The radio flickers to life on its own. Breaker 19, read, you copy? I don't answer. We've been waiting. Follow the markers. The voice is calm, genderless, layered like chords. The blue lights brighten, forming a narrow corridor through the mist, a tunnel of cold fire. Every instinct says reverse. Every bone says run. But the wheel turns forward under my hands like someone else is driving. The rig rolls into the corridor. Inside the light tunnel, sound changes. No engine noise, no tires, just a steady hum that lives inside my skull. The fog presses closer, swirling into faint images, road signs, mile markers, things that should be miles apart flashing past the windows in seconds. The world's folding in on itself. I slam the brake. The pedal hits the floor with no resistance. The engine's still idling, RPM steady, but the wheels don't listen. The truck coasts uphill without throttle. That's when I see the first figure. A man, maybe 30 feet ahead, standing in the center of the lane. Work jacket, reflective stripes, one hand raised like a flagger. Except where his face should be, there's only blue light, bright enough to see the bones of his fingers through the glow. I hit the air horn. He doesn't move. The sound passes through him, muffled like honking underwater. When I'm 20 feet away, he steps aside and taps the trailer with one luminous hand. My mirrors catch the contact, a smear of light that burns there, flickering like static. Another figure appears farther up the grade. Then another. Each waves me through, each touches the rig, each leaves the same mark. By the time I realize what's happening, there are dozens of handprints trailing blue fire along the trailer walls, tracing symbols into the paint, circles crossed by lines, triangles within triangles, a pattern growing more deliberate. Keep moving, the radio whispers. Almost there. I try to kill the engine. The key won't turn. The dash lights are dead except for one, a new indicator I've never seen before. A tiny blue triangle blinking slow. At mile marker 84, the fog clears all at once, like curtains ripped open. The road behind me is gone, not just obscured, gone. In its place, black emptiness, the kind that makes stars look afraid. I stop the truck in the middle of the pass. The handprints on the trailer glow faintly, then fade to nothing. Silence falls heavy as wet wool. The radio clicks again. We remember the road, Mason, do you? I whisper, who are you? The speaker crackles, then a chorus answers, layered like wind through wires. Drivers, lights, signals lost in fog, you carried our route in your mirrors. Now you mark the line. The cab temperature drops 10 degrees in seconds. My breath smokes. Frost crystals bloom on the inside of the windshield in the shape of small triangles, repeating over and over. The dash cam light shifts from red to blue. I grab my phone, point it out the window, start recording. Through the lens, the highway shimmers, a dozen phantom trucks lined end to end, half transparent, headlights dim blue. They idle without sound. Inside each cab, a driver sits motionless, faces glowing from within like glass jars holding storms. One of them looks exactly like me. Same jacket, same bracelet, same everything. He lifts his hand and presses it against the glass from the inside of the phantom rig. When he smiles, it's wrong, too slow, too wide, too knowing. The fog surges back and erases everything. When I come to, I'm parked at the Widow's Peak Diner again, engine cold, daylight slanting across the dashboard. My wristwatch says 7, ton AM. The last thing I remember was tough futty. 5 hours gone. The waitress is outside lighting a cigarette. She squints at me. You slept in that truck all night? I open my mouth. No sound comes out. She nods toward the trailer. You know your paint's burned. I stumble out, walk the length of the rig. Every panel bears the same pattern scorched into the metal. Triangles nested inside one another. Edges fused like lightning strikes. And beneath them, in fingertip letters, someone traced a sentence in soot. Mile marker 0 is a circle. I spend the next hour scrubbing the paint with diesel wipes until my arms ache. The marks fade, but the shapes remain as faint shadows, visible only when light hits at the right angle. The mechanic later says it looks like oxidation. I let him think that. On the CB, static hums steady, then breaks into a burst of laughter, half human, half engine noise. I kill the power and rip the cord from the socket. But when I climb back into the driver's seat, the radio light's still on. Blue. That night in the motel, I transfer the dash cam footage to the laptop. The file plays fine until the moment I entered the fog corridor. Then the image splits, left half current feed, right half delayed by 3 seconds, like the truck had two realities overlapping. At the Zara Ta 39 timestamp, a sentence appears scrawled across both halves in flickering blue text, not overlaid, but embedded in the frame metadata. Follow the lights home. After that, the screen goes black for 30 seconds. Then the feed resumes, except I'm not in the driver's seat anymore. Someone else is. Someone glowing faintly blue, bracelet swinging steady on the mirror. The last sound before the file ends is my own voice whispering from the radio. 10-4 boys, see you on the next run. I shut the laptop, heart battering. Outside, the highway hums faintly through the walls. Somewhere in that hum, if I listen too long, I can hear engines that don't belong to this world idling in rhythm with mine. And every time headlights sweep past the motel window, the reflection flashes not white, but blue. They tell you the road remembers everyone who drives it, but no one ever says what the road does with the memory. It's been 4 nights since Widow's Peak. I haven't slept more than an hour at a time. Every time I shut my eyes, I'm back in that corridor of blue fire, rolling towards something that wants me to keep going. Dispatch thinks I'm on vacation. Clough thinks I'm home. Truth is, I'm parked 2 miles outside the pass, engine off, headlights pointed into the fog like an offering. The dash cam's on, CB's unplugged. Still, the speaker hums faintly, low, electric, patient. I whisper into the recorder. Test 3, independent return. Objective, determine if phenomenon triggers without engine motion. The mic picks up the sound of my pulse instead. Zara Zara, 41 AM, the fog arrives like an animal that knows the way. First it eats the trees, then the stars. Then it knocks once on the windshield. Thump, not loud, just polite. I start the rig. Headlights dissolve instantly. Visibility equals 0. From nowhere, a voice filters through the static mine, but pitched wrong, like an old tape running slow. Keep it steady, Mason, you're almost home. The fog parts ahead, forming a single glowing lane, blue edges pulsing in rhythm. The bracelet on the mirror begins to sway again, left, right, left. I whisper, okay, just a dream. But the wheel moves by itself. The rig crawls forward. The grade steepens, but gravity feels optional. Shapes start to emerge inside the fog, signs that shouldn't exist. Mile 1 right arrow, mile 0 right arrow, mile -1. The radio flickers on again, voice layered, overlapping dozens, maybe hundreds. Welcome back, driver. We've been circling. We need you to close the route. Through the side window, spectral trucks glide beside me, wheels not quite touching asphalt. Their drivers' faces glow faint blue, mouths open in silent speech. One of them lifts a hand, the same gesture the flagger made, 4 fingers raised, 1 missing. You carried the mark, the voices say. You kept the lane alive. I glance down at my wrist. The skin under the bracelet burns cold. When I pull the beads aside, a faint triangle symbol pulses beneath the flesh like a vein of light. Mile -3. The sign flickers past. The fog around me spins into a spiral, like I'm driving through the eye of a storm. The dash cam shows the outside world bending, curves of blue light tightening around the rig. The engine revs on its own, RPM climbing though my foot's off the pedal. Then movement ahead. A bridge appears out of nothing, old, skeletal, rails twisted by heat. Hanging from the center beam are dozens of old truck license plates clinking in the wind. Each one scorched, numbers half melted, a welcome gate or a warning. At the bridge's far end stands a single figure backlit by the glow, hard hat, jacket, face hidden under shadow, same man from the first night. He raises his hand, palm out, stop. I obey. The cab fills with the hum again, deep enough to vibrate my ribs. The fog behind me closes, sealing the exit. You should not have stopped, the voice says, not angry now, just tired. The man steps closer. His shadow crosses the hood. I catch his reflection in the windshield and freeze. It's me. Same jawline, same eyes, except his glow from the inside like glass over a flame. He presses his hand against the glass, and the bracelet on my mirror swings faster, matching his rhythm. Every road needs a signalman, he whispers through the speaker. Every signalman needs a replacement. The glass between us softens, rippling like water. Blue light bleeds through, crawling across the dash, wrapping the wheel, tracing my hands. I yank back, but the light sticks cold as ice, hot as wire. It seeps into the veins, up the arms, across the throat. The air smells like burnt ozone and diesel. Close the route, my double says. Take the light. The bridge hums louder. The plates clang like applause. The figures appear again, hundreds of them now, lining the road on both sides. Drivers lost to the pass, glowing silhouettes watching. Their trucks idle behind them, headlamps pulsing blue. I slam the transmission into reverse. The engine roars, but the world doesn't move. The tires spin on something softer than pavement. The odometer climbs backward, though the truck stands still. The radio snaps with one final burst of static that forms words. Loop complete. Welcome home, Mason. Then everything turns white. When the light fades, I'm standing outside the cab. The truck idles behind me, driver's door open. I can see myself inside, slumped against the seat, eyes closed, bracelet swinging lazy circles. Fog drifts between us like curtains. The other me, sleeping, breathing, suddenly inhales sharp, as if waking from a bad dream. His eyes open, pale blue, no pupils. He looks straight at me, smiles the small, weary smile of a man who's been on shift too long. He nods once, then shifts the rig into gear and drives forward into the mist. The taillights burn blue until they vanish. I reach for the cab, but the road under my boots has turned to nothing. My hand passes through the truck's outline, scattering into cold sparks. Somewhere far off, the air horn blares once, long, mournful, and then stops. The fog starts to drain away. The world turns to color again. Birds, sunlight, real sky. I'm alone on the asphalt, empty hands, empty road. At the shoulder sits an old memorial cross made of scrap metal. Fresh flowers lie at its base. The plaque reads, "In memory of Mason Reed. Died October 31, 2024. He kept the lights burning. The bracelet lies on the crossbeam, beads melted into a perfect triangle. I don't remember walking, but I end up at the diner hours later. The waitress doesn't look surprised to see me. You came back, she says quietly. Thought I did." She nods toward the highway. Fog, been clear 3 nights now. Guess it needed something. On the counter behind her, the wall-mounted radio crackles once. Blue light flickers inside the speaker grill, then dies. She doesn't notice. I do. Later on the CB archives, truckers say there's a new voice on Channel 19. Comes through only in heavy fog. Sounds like gravel and echo. Sometimes it warns about icy roads. Sometimes it just hums, steady and calm. And sometimes, when a driver loses signal near Widow's Peak, it says, 10-4, I got you, keep it steady, you're almost home. No one ever catches the handle name, but every transmission ends the same way. With a faint, rhythmic pulse of blue light on the indicator. And a voice, mine, whispering, "This is Mason Reed, signing off, until the next run."